Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk. So what I'm doing today is I am participating in Mazzy's folk music vinyl tag. There'll be some vinyl and some CD in my efforts. When he came out with it at first, I thought, oh, I don't have enough. There's no way I'm going to do it. I ended up figuring out that if I'm willing to skip a few questions, and I'm going to take a lot of liberties with the definition of folk music in this, that I actually can put together something. And if some of my quote unquote folk choices might just make you laugh, you might just turn the video off. It just might be too ridiculous, but that's the risk I'm willing to take. So I'm actually combining his first two questions together. So show a very early folk album. Now, one of my problems is like a lot of like the sort of the Woody Guthrie, Peter Paul, Mary, Joan Baez, all sort of that era folk. I don't really have any of that. So um, show a very early folk album pre-1950s. Show an archival folk album or field recording. So I'm going to show you this 2 CD set right here. Why the Mountains Are Black. Primeval Greek Village Music, 1907 to 1960. So this was something that, of all people, Third Man Records put out, and I am part Greek, so um, I'll buy like these Greek compilations. And so this features a lot of Macedonian gaida, which are basically their version of the bagpipes. And so it doesn't sound like sort of the traditional upa Greek restaurant stereotypical Greek music. Um, there's a lot of sort of that Macedonian bagpipe in it. It's some of it's kind of discordant in parts. It can sound almost like noise rock or free jazz, even though it's like sort of traditional Greek music. So it's pretty unusual. It's not the easiest listen in the world. It's probably not for everybody. Um, show a recent folk album recorded after 2010. So here's some huge liberties here. This guy, I've seen him described as indie folk, country glam, different things like that. So I'm going to show Aaron Lee Tasjan, Karma for Cheap. This album is from 2018. So he's on New West Record, kind of an East Nashville guy. It's kind of hard to put him in a genre, but he's pretty cool. So show that. Show your favorite folk album man. So I'm going to go with kind of a standard choice here. I'm going to go with Bob Dylan. I'm going to show both a CD and an LP and a vinyl. So probably and I'm not going to say that I've listened to every record in Bob Dylan's catalog because I haven't. I'm not actually even a huge Dylan guy, but so there's Blonde on Blonde that I have on CD. Blood on the Tracks, which I have on vinyl. And then show your favorite folk album woman. So again, I'm going to go with sort of a standard predictable choice. Joni Mitchell. So there's Joni Mitchell Blue, which I have on CD. I don't have on vinyl. And this rather beat up copy I inherited of, I have a lot of beat up Joni Mitchell records that I inherited from my dad. So this is Ladies of the Canyon. At least this one didn't make the thrashed record video where the front and back covers are actually completely detached from each other. That was For the Roses. Show your favorite folk album, duo, or trio. So here's a trio. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. There's their debut album. There's no Young. Actually, I like them better with Young. Neil Young's my favorite of these four guys, but it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They won a gold record, so I have the gold record award version of this. And then we've got, so somebody put their initials here. This is a guest number 49 in their collection. Yeah, great that people do stuff like that. Show your favorite folk album group. Okay. Violent Femmes. I've heard them described as folk punk, and I like the Violent Femmes. I'm showing you, unfortunately, I don't have any vinyl by them. This is Added Up, which was a compilation based on material from 1981 to 1993. But really, the first three albums, it's not just the debuts, the one that everybody knows with like Added Up um, and that sort of stuff. Country Death Song from the second album, third album as well. There's some pretty good stuff. So, and I saw them live a couple times in the 90s. Uh, got my glasses broken in a mosh pit during a Violent Femme show. I'm going to skip a couple questions. I'm going to skip up to show a live folk album. So I'm going to go ahead and claim Cowboy Junkies as qualifying here. This is Cowboy Junkies, the Trinity session. So this is recorded in a single day, November 27th, 1987. I have written in my notes, it released in 1988. So there we go. Again, I'm going to skip a few questions. I'm going to skip up to show a British folk single artist or duo. So I'm going to show this Richard and Linda Thompson album. Shoot Out the Lights. There's the light. I guess they haven't shot it out quite yet. From, I believe this is 1982. 1980. No, I don't. 1982, yes. So, show a British folk band. So again, I'm going to go the folk punk, Celtic punk, whatever you want to call it, route. So Pug Mahoney, the Pugs, Essential Pugs. You're saying they're Irish. Well, the band was actually formed in London, but they obviously were people of Irish descent. So Shane MacGowan and Spider Stacy and the gang here. This was a compilation that was released in the early 1990s. Show a folk rock album. Well, I could have shown this in the previous question, but here's a Jethro Tull album, Jethro Tull Benefit from 1973. Show a folk song covered by a rock band or singer. So I am going to show my Jeff Buckley record, Jeff Buckley Grace. We, of course, know that Jeff Buckley died way too young, had to get in the Mississippi River. Of course, Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen song, is probably considered by most to be the highlight of this particular album. Show a Bob Dylan song covered by another artist. So I'm going to go with PJ Harvey, the Rid of Me album featuring Highway 61 Revisited. And so PJ Harvey, I like her, so we'll show her for that. Show your favorite folk album cover. And so I decided, because I hadn't shown Billy Bragg yet, and I think this is a really cool picture of him, I'm going to show this recent Billy Bragg album, Tooth and Nail. I kind of like sort of that side profile. He's got his guitar slung over. This came out, what, 2013? And then the inside panel there, he's ready to go. And so I always like me some Billy Bragg. And then the final one, show or tell us about your favorite folk song. So some stuff I don't have in physical format, but I'll tell a couple quick stories. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. I remember, like, when I was in 5th or 6th grade, this would have been a few years after that song originally came out. I think the song came out in 76, 77. I think the actual wreck of the ship happened, I believe it was 1975. I didn't Wikipedia it, so I might be off by a couple of years, but it was mid-70s. And then me being in 5th or 6th grade would be about, we're talking probably about 1980-ish, 1980 or so. And so I had a teacher that year, and I think she was a really big Gordon Lightfoot fan. She was probably about the same age as him. Um, and so she kind of, we looked up, we studied this song, we read it, we analyzed it like it was a poem. She played the song, and even though at the time I would have told you, oh, this is so lame, Mrs. Livingston's so lame. Uh, why can't we be listening to Kiss in class, man? But I still remember that. So, and it's like I've never bought the album, but it's like if it comes on the radio, I'll listen to it. I'm not gonna turn it off. Then another cool song, Diamonds and Rust, which of course is a Joan Baez song, um, but obviously a lot of teenage metalheads learned about it from a different band. We learned about it from Judas Priest, who did a pretty good cover of that song. We also learned about Peter Green era Fleetwood Mac from Judas Priest when they did the Green Manalishi and the Three Pronged Crown. So that's all I've got for folk. So, and folk like and abusing the definition of folk music.